Hello and welcome to another midweek message. 13 centigrade, 55 Fahrenheit, 94% humidity, 1029 millibars on the barometer, and the wind, let's have a look at the flag. Oh, it's from the west, not too bad. A little bit of wind out there, not too chilly. 13C isn't too bad. It's, where are we, 7:30 in the morning, and it is Wednesday, the 15th of October. Doesn't the time fly? Do you know, it only seems like a couple of months ago it was April, and I was thinking, great, the spring's here, the summer's coming, buds are coming out on trees and bushes, things are popping up from under the ground. That just seems like a few weeks ago, and here we are now. We're coming up to, I can't mention the C word, we're coming up to the 25th of December, put it that way. We bought some coal yesterday, we made up the fire, ready to go. We've got kindling wood, we've got loads of wood, we've got loads of coal. That's always a sign. The first time, I nearly lit it yesterday, the first time I light the fire is always a sign that that is it. The summer is now officially over in our house. That's the end of the summer when I light the fire. And I don't know why, I always take a photo of it and put it on our family WhatsApp thing. And everyone says, oh, look, the fire looks nice. I do that every year, I don't know why. Something else that is looming and is a real sign of the winter coming, that's the clocks changing. At the end of this month, they go back, don't they? They fall, as in autumn, the fall. They go back, so we will have darker evenings, darker mornings, darker everything. It just doesn't seem possible that the summer is over. Where's it gone? I was just beginning to enjoy it. The tomato plants, the runner beans, everything growing, mowing the lawn, sitting out there in the sunshine, in my shorts, I hasten to add, frightening the neighbours. And it's gone. That was quick. What was that? You missed it. Oh, I must have blinked. I managed to mow the lawn the other day, sweep up more leaves. Anyway, that's enough of the weather outside and the time of year, the season. I do like the four seasons. It is nice, although I moan in the winter. Having said that about the winter and the darkness and the cold and everything, it is nice to, on a winter's evening, to sit in front of the fire. The fire's roaring away, curtains closed. Trish and I are sitting there. We might have a glass of, well, Trish will have a glass of wine. I'll have a glass of Stone's ginger wine or a port and lemon, the old lady's drink that I really like. I've told you, haven't I, before? My nan, when I was 8 years old, was pouring herself a port and lemon. And I said, that looks nice, Nan. It's like Ribena. She said, do you want to try some? And she poured me a glass of port and lemon. I was 8 years old. She said, don't tell your mum. And I did. I told my mum. I said, I've had port and lemon. Of course, my nan got told off. But that was really nice. It was just like Ribena, but better. Happy days. Talking of booze, we went out to a Thai restaurant last night. Really nice. Been there before. Really nice. And I like their beer. They do one called Sing. That's how it's pronounced, Sing. And they do, I think that one's Chang. That's how it's pronounced. Do you know beer in Thailand was first brewed in 1933? That's late, isn't it? 1933? What were they doing in Thailand before that then? The first evidence of beer brewed in the UK was 400 BC. You see, we were up on things. We were getting things done. I don't know what they were doing in Thailand. No beer until 1933. Apparently, wine came to the UK. The Romans brought it over, I think, to Britain. First century CE. I mean, what is CE? Why do they do this? It's AD. I have looked this up before. When I saw CE, I forgot what it was. I had to look it up again. Anyway, it's the first century AD, Anno Domini, isn't it? Apparently CE is Common Era and BCE is before Common Era. What's the Common Era? What are they talking about? Why does everything have to be changed? I have no idea. Fish and chip restaurants I've got written here. What's that about? It says here, fish and chip restaurants. Rants. I remember when fish and chips were just fish and chip shops. You take the stuff away. Then one or two of them that had the space opened a little restaurant area, a sort of eat-in area. So fish and chips to take away or eat in, which was rather nice. They just bring it out on a plate. You could have a cup of tea, a couple of slices of horrible white cheap bread with it. And it was brilliant, really good. And it really caught on. And a lot of fish and chip shops in our area, at least, had restaurants. I know one They rented the shop next door to their shop, made a hole through the wall, and that was the restaurant. And it was always busy. All the tables in there were always full of people munching away on their cotton chips or whatever they were having. And that just caught on. Of course, I'm going back to the 60s, 1960s. I think before that, there were obviously one or two that were doing eat-in, but in the main, they were all takeaway. Fish and chips were good back then, weren't they? They were cheap and nice. I won't go on about that because I moaned about that the other day. So there we are. Beer first brewed in Thailand in 1933. First brewed here 400 BC. I love the Thai ladies in the restaurant. They came up to the table, they bow, don't they? A bit like the Japanese, they bow all the time. They were so polite, they were lovely. The food, well, you know me, I am really fussy with food. I don't eat anything that I describe as filth. Funnily enough, though, I don't like rice. I don't like noodles, I don't like rice, I don't like anything like that, pasta. But I don't know what I had, to be honest. I had garlic, vegetable, something or other. Spring rolls. Well, I think they're spring rolls. That's Chinese, isn't it? Anyway, these were like spring rolls. They were really nice. You don't want to know all this, do you? You're getting hungry now. You're probably thinking, what's he going on about his food for? In the old days, what people had to do was take a photo of their meal, go round to the chemist, leave the film there with them. About a week later, pick up the pictures, have copies made and send it to all their friends. These days, you take a picture of your meal with your phone and you put it on your WhatsApp group and everyone can see what you're eating. Why do people do that? I don't understand why you would send a picture of your meal to your friends or your family. Why? They're not interested in what you're eating, are they? Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps people are interested in what you're having for dinner. I'm not. I'm only interested in what I'm eating for dinner, not what other people are eating. How times have changed. Just talking to a chap on the radio. He lives in Sompting, not far from me. Young Tony over there in Sompting. And he was saying, do you know, we haven't got one pub left now in Sompting. And of course, that got me on to pubs, and we've been chatting about pubs for about half an hour. There was a lovely pub, was it Marquis of Granby? That's gone. The Ball Tree pub, that's gone. Oh, so many have gone. And there's not one now left in Sompting. Sompting is only a very small area. But that doesn't matter. They've gone. The pubs have gone. Not to worry. Everything's changing. Nothing we can do about it, it seems. Apart from moan, which I am very good at, according to my sister-in-law. Well, according to Tricia and her sister. I'm very good at moaning. I have a reputation for moaning. Is that good or bad? Over at Shoreham Airport, Tony and I were talking about this because he's been around as long as I have. A bit more, I think. He's a bit older than me. There was a rifle range during the war years at Shoreham Airport. It was a big brick wall, which obviously they had the targets stuck to or whatever they did. And it was all sand. And they stood back, I don't know how many yards away, and fired rifles at this wall or the targets on the wall. And I, as a kid, I'd go over there with my grandfather and I'd collect the little brass shells. Were they 2-2 or I don't know what they were. But little brass shells. The sand was full of hundreds of them. And I'd just sit on the sand, nice summer's day at Shoreham Airport, the little planes coming in and out, wonderful. And I'd be sifting through the sand, collecting the little brass shells. That was great. And he remembers doing that. So I wonder whether we ever met over there, because I do remember other kids collecting the shells. There must have been literally hundreds, because whenever I went there, I was collecting more. They never sort of ran out. Of course, now that's all gone. And he was saying, why do they take things away like that? That should have been left. It wasn't in the way. It wasn't doing anything. It wasn't eating anything, as Tricia's dad used to say. It was taking up a little bit of land just by the side of the little road there at the airport. And what do? It's gone. I don't know what they've done with it. I think it's just now full of weeds. Such a shame. Things like that should have been left. In the 50s, when I was a child, you could find lots of things in the woods. I remember going up to the woods, again with my grandparents and my parents, I think. I don't know where it was. There was a lot of sand up at Thacum, and is it Greatham or Gretham or wherever? A lot of the woods there, it's like forest, but it's all sand. Not like beach sand. A very fine, grey, almost whitish sand in the forest. It's lovely. And I used to find gin traps up there with my grandfather. What he would do is find these gin traps. He'd set them off to make them safe and then pull them out, pull the stake out of the ground. And he'd put them in a big bag and take them home and destroy them. They're illegal now, of course. I think they made them illegal in the late 50s, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. Gin traps, and apparently, allegedly, the name comes from engine trap. You're wondering what I'm talking about, aren't you? I'm wondering what I'm talking about. It's just interest, it's about the past. Engine traps because they were mechanical things. If you step on it, then the jaws close and there's a spring and all that, and they called them engine traps. They were dreadful things. There were man traps, weren't there? Bigger ones for men, and oh dear, we won't go into that. I remember these soldiers standing around with machine guns, guarding certain tracks that went off into, I don't know where, into the woods or wherever, just standing there, these soldiers holding machine guns. I don't know what that was about. All sorts of things went on back then. Anyway, I won't bore you anymore. I expect you've had enough. Happy days. Look after yourselves. I shall see you on Sunday when you can look forward to an hour of me talking rubbish. How about that? Email me, raiserants@protonmail.com. Rachel, hope you had a good birthday last Sunday. Take care, everyone. Be good. If you're bad, don't get caught. See you on Sunday. Thanks for listening as always. Love your company. Bye-bye for now.